What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we are at Des Moines International Airport for the 53rd airport update for the month of April 2025. Things are getting crazy here as we move into the warmer time of the year. Spring is all about storms, and with that, it can create disruptions at airports and thus force aircraft to divert. But we will take a look at that a little later into the video as we have other regularly scheduled flights, a returning aircraft for the first time in a long time, and we have some other movements happening around the airport. Starting off at Gate Alpha 1, we have this Allegiant Airbus A320 coming in from Phoenix Mesa today. It's flight 448, and this is arriving in 20 minutes behind schedule at 9:51 p.m., delayed from a 9:31 p.m. scheduled arrival. Phoenix Mesa, as we head into May, will move to a 3 times weekly service. It will be a Monday, Friday, Saturday service, and just kind of going through the rest of April there as I get a very lovely pop-up advertisement. I love how those things like to interrupt my daily duties. Looks like it is still 3 weekly through the rest of April, the last couple weeks here. So we'll maintain that thrice weekly frequency, operating Monday, Friday, Saturday. Plenty of opportunities for a weekend getaway to the desert. And then moving next to that, we have Southwest, an airline that has undergone many recent changes because, well, that's what happens. Very long story behind that, but I'm sure you've already known what's happened with Southwest, all their major policy changes and everything, and certainly not the greatest look, but that is a topic for another time. We have the 737 MAX 8 coming in from Denver as flight 3613, and this arrived in at 8:18 p.m., delayed from a 7:55 p.m. scheduled arrival, so another delay here this time of 23 minutes. I noticed Southwest, they flew the MAX 8 a lot more on the day that I checked the flight board for this update, so pretty interesting stuff here for this update. And once again, we have another American Eagle aircraft parking at the A gates. So again, the construction forcing some aircraft to be moved around because of the lack of gate space, as obviously the C2 and C4 aprons are pretty much gone, and then the C6 apron has to be moved a little bit to accommodate the new construction. So that's what we're dealing with here. So this American Eagle Embraer 175 is just sitting here alone. And this also came in from Phoenix, this time Sky Harbor, as flight 3338, a Envoy-operated flight in this case. This arrived in at 11:36 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 11:54 p.m. arrival. And then moving over, United comes into play, our 737-700 this time from Houston Intercontinental. This arrived in as flight 1780 at 10:38 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 10:45 p.m. arrival. This Houston service I don't really feature too much. It's kind of on and off depending on the time of the year, but in this case for this Houston service, it will be a twice daily, if I can get this to get off of my screen. I mean, lovely if Flight Connections actually cooperated with me today. It's never been this bad for me, but I guess that's what happens. So can I just get the map, please? Come on. This thing is being very uncooperative with me today. It's never been this bad. So it looks like it is a twice daily service, if I'm looking right. One main line on a 737-700 and then the Embraer 175 later in the day. So that is the services that we have here out of the larger Houston airport in this case. Would love to go to that airport one of these days because they got some really good variety, and the spotting there I don't know too much about, so it'd be nice to get familiar with it and just get an idea of what spotting there is all about. So maybe one day an opportunity will come about, but we'll see what happens. Moving along, we have the United A319 coming in from Denver. This arrived as flight 1925, 8:25 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 8:39 p.m. arrival. And I'll go ahead and take you guys off the tripod just for this aircraft only, because this is a returning aircraft. It's been a very long time since I've used one of these things, so I'm really happy that I have this that I can use, unlike the American Eagle example, which I still need to find one, or hope to God that Gemini Jets releases another one. But this Embraer 170 came in from Chicago O'Hare as flight 3569, a Republic-operated flight, and this arrived in at 5:44 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 6:06 p.m. arrival. So there are the A gates here for the Des Moines International Airport. And now I want to shift focus to the sea gates because we do have an interesting visitor, and you can probably already tell what it is, and I'm about to center the frame on it because that is the star of the show for this update, and there's just been a lot of crazy movements happening. Like, this weather has just been out of control. Like, we need this weather to just calm down for a day because it's hard to keep up with all these diversions happening at my airports that I do here. So we have this Delta A220-100 that is parked at the Gate Charlie 1, and actually, as I'm recording this, that aircraft is on the way to Des Moines right now, so it hasn't even landed yet. It shows you how ahead I am with the diversions, but I just saw it on flight radar as I was setting up the diorama, so I figured, yeah, I'll just throw it in here, just get some extra variety. So this also came in from Houston Intercontinental. This is arriving as Flight Delta 724, so not very often that you'll get to see an A220 at the Des Moines International Airport, and now the Delta 757 from Fort Lauderdale to Minneapolis is diverting to Omaha. Good God, you gotta be kidding me! Omaha getting another crazy diversion? Okay, so let me cover the other crazy diversion here at Des Moines because I actually found out about this when I was setting up the flight schedule for this month's update. So apparently, an Air Canada Rouge A321 that was flying between Las Vegas and Toronto Pearson made an emergency landing in Des Moines because there was smoke in the cockpit on April 16th. So this would have been on this past Wednesday. So can you believe that? Air Canada Rouge making an emergency landing in Des Moines because of smoke in the cockpit. Thankfully, everyone was okay, so that's the good news. But they had to send in a replacement plane, which was another A321 from Toronto, to pick up the passengers so that they could get to Pearson International. So, you know, these diversions are crazy. And of course, that one isn't weather-related. That's a mechanical-related issue or, you know, something similar. But now you've got the Delta 757, so that's diverting to Omaha. And on the topic of Omaha, guess what plane they got this week? A United 7879 Dreamliner. Coming in from London Heathrow. It was supposed to go to Denver, but they had a bunch of storms, so they had to divert to Omaha. The first time that they've ever gotten a Dreamliner, which is just crazy to me. And unfortunately, I don't have a model of that, and I don't have a model of an Air Canada Rouge A321 either, so I can't really model that, unfortunately, but gotta do the best I can. So instead, getting it covered and mentioned is the next best thing. So, crazy times. Weather, mechanical problems, diversions, just all of the darn time. Like, I just don't get it. The craziness just never stops. And it's weird, too, because that Delta 75, it looked like it was going to come towards Sioux Falls, and we have gotten a 753 before from Delta, and that was like 6 years ago. But instead, now it is choosing to go to Omaha instead. So it looks like FSD is going to miss out on the diversions this round, but we'll see if maybe that changes a little later on, because a lot of storms in the forecast for tonight on Thursday night, and no. That's just the craze of Mother Nature. She can be very nasty at times, so I don't know who exactly made her upset, but obviously it has gotten to the point now that we're having basically daily thunderstorms, and it is causing all kinds of disruptions across the United States for our domestic flight operations. So just try not to get her upset, because we don't need any major problems right now, especially with all of our upcoming travel that we'll have in the summer, because it's going to be fun, and last thing that we want is for it to get interrupted because of some storms. So we'll move on to a regularly scheduled Delta flight now that I have rambled enough about diversions in this video. We have a Delta 717 coming in from Atlanta as flight 1704, and this right in at 10:25 a.m. ahead of a scheduled 10:41 a.m. arrival. Always good to get the staple for Des Moines, the Mad Pup. And then as the inverse to American parking at the A gates, we have Southwest at the C gates this time. And this is parked at Charlie 5. The 737-700 with the splits came in from St. Louis as flight 2974. And this arrived in 10 minutes ahead of schedule, 9:55 p.m. local time. And then you'll see that aircraft right there has not moved in the last like 2 updates. That CRJ 700 back there, and then the A320 CFM. I have not moved either aircraft in the last couple of months, so they've just been sitting there, and good consistency in that department as well. So we have the CRJ 700 parked at Charlie 7, and this right in from Chicago O'Hare as flight 4924, a SkyWest operated flight. And this arrived in 11:53 p.m., delayed from an 11:54 p.m. scheduled arrival, behind by 9 minutes. And then the final aircraft for this update, and after that I'll probably ramble more about diversions because that's what I do. We have the A320 CFM, I think this is the third release, the latest one, if I remember right. Yeah, this would be the case. So this A320 CFM came in from Charlotte as flight 3020, and this arrived in at 9:58 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 10:07 p.m. arrival. So that, my friends, is the Des Moines International Airport for this month, our 53rd update for April 2025, as the series continues. Diversions are getting crazy here, and obviously we are right in the thick of spring, which is when we really hit the peak of severe weather season. So, there's always going to be some big storms that are going to come in and cause disruptions at any airport and will force aircraft to divert, especially in more unusual instances like a United 787 going to Omaha, or, a Delta A220 to Des Moines, which is not as unusual because those are pretty common, but for Des Moines, they never get the A220. The only main line they get is that 717 from Atlanta. That has just been consistent for as long as I've done these updates. That hasn't changed all that much, so it's good to see that that has stayed very consistent in the about almost 5 years now that I've done these updates, which is just crazy. 5 years of doing Des Moines International Airport. I think the 5-year anniversary is actually going to be in June, now that I think about it. Yeah, that's right, because I started it over the summer of 2020. So I'll see if I can do something special for that 5-year anniversary, because I already did something special for reaching 50 updates, which was just a few months ago. And now the 5-year anniversary is coming up, so I don't know what exactly I'm going to do to celebrate that, but I'll try to think of some ideas when we get to that point in June. That'll do it for this month's Des Moines International Airport update. With that being said, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.